cover story. A successful, bright, and beloved young man takes a widely used recreational drug and has a tragic reaction. That's a story you've likely heard before, but this wasn't an overdose. And in this case, the Lake Forest native was not a regular drug user. What happened when Greg Friedman took ecstasy is a story his parents want everyone to hear.
He was an athlete that expressed itself at an early age. High school football at Lake Forest High School. Had an illustrious career there and carried on to play at Tulane University.
Greg Friedman's post-college career took him to Los Angeles, where he worked for a startup web company and embraced the West Coast lifestyle.
He just really was on a beautiful road to a great place.
This is just a spiritual watch.
Before we started our interview, Ross Friedman took a moment to put on Greg's watch, a way to keep his middle child close as he opened up about his son's life and final days. A story that begins at a concert Greg, his siblings, and their significant others attended together in San Francisco, plus a buddy from high school who brought ecstasy.
Greg mentioned, please, no need, this group does not need that drug tonight. The individual, unfortunately, showed up late to the concert to rendezvous. He had indeed purchased ecstasy off the streets of San Francisco. And Greg unwisely shared it with his friend.
It wasn't the first time the 27-year-old had taken a recreational drug. He was an occasional user, though this time his reaction was immediate and severe.
His eyes became extremely dilated. He was distressed and showing high signs of disturbance.
Greg's sister suggested they go to the emergency room.
And that was unfortunately shrugged off.
Ecstasy, or MDMA, Molly as it's called on the streets, is a synthetic stimulant. It enhances interpersonal interactions, feelings of connectedness and well-being. The drug's popular at concerts and clubs. It boosts serotonin, a natural chemical that makes you feel good. But when the serotonin becomes depleted and plummets in the days following, the drop can cause depression and anxiety. Greg felt both after taking the drug with his friend, and he experienced insomnia and severe dehydration, also effects of the ecstasy. But his parents have since learned he was struggling with another deeply disturbing symptom.
He woke to a broken reality in the morning and that he had a parallel universe, and occasionally he said that he experienced a porthole into hell.
Their son's beautiful mind had been derailed by a dirty drug, one likely filled with toxic chemicals. Ecstasy, seized on the streets, is tested in the Drug Enforcement Administration's lab.
When we test them, we see a variety of different drugs. There's no quality control on the street when it comes to drugs. On these seemingly ecstasy tablets that we have, we found MDMA, methamphetamine, ketamine, caffeine. So if you think you're getting ecstasy, you are not quite sure what could be in that tablet.
This drug altered his brain and his universe.
And he needed appropriate treatment and unfortunately didn't find it.
Instead, Greg was given a sleep aid and an anti-anxiety medication after a visit to his doctor, where he shared the psychotic thoughts he was having, words noted in his medical record that day. What he needed was an emergency room, an urgent psychiatric evaluation, and to be kept safe as he struggled with the psychosis, a rare reaction to ecstasy, but one that has been identified in the medical literature, even in people with no history of psychological problems.
There's a very real danger that you may not be the one that can sort of get away with it and have no potential harm come to you, and that you are in fact playing with fire.
He was not an addict, he was not suicidal, he did not suffer from depression, he was firing on all cylinders.
Exactly 1 week after taking ecstasy and still suffering from its effects, Greg abruptly left his office, walked across the street, and climbed the stairs to the top of a building.
He found a building nearby and fell off the building backwards to his death. We've been advised that Greg suffered a psychotic break that day. His brain snapped. It wasn't him, and it was precipitated by the ecstasy a week earlier. We are devastated 24/7. Our hearts are broken.
But the Friedmans are determined to save lives. That's why they've started the GPF Foundation, named for Greg, with the mission to educate others about the potential dangers of dabbling in recreational drugs.
We realized that this was a very preventable, unnecessary tragedy.
I know my child did not want to die. I know that something tragic happened, that was out of his control.
Through the foundation, the Friedmans hope to educate drug users and the general medical community to recognize the signs of psychosis and make sure patients receive proper evaluation and care. We have a link to the GPF Foundation on our website. Back to you.